Hello and welcome to our live. We are going to talk all about Cricut labels today. Maybe make some labels, just hang out and have fun. So feel free to drop in the live chat. Tell me where you're tuning in from. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about like all the different materials you could use potentially to make labels with your Cricut machine. And I would love for you to like kind of vote in the comments of which one I should do during this video because there are a lot of different materials. So if you are searching Cricut labels, you probably run into their material. So they do have a label material and it is called Smart Label material. And there are a variety, like depending on the machine you have, you could use this without a mat. You could also put it on a mat. So if you bought the Joy version and wanted to use it on a mat, you could do that. And then there are a variety of types. So for instance, this is the dissolvable type. And I didn't realize I grabbed the dissolvable, but we'll see which one you like. There's also one that is just like a permanent version. And then there are ones that are like, this one is, what do they call it? I don't know. It's like a holographic. And like two different types of like holographic shiny. But these type of materials, so the Cricut label products, you can actually use their pens to write on it and it won't smear or anything. If you were to use vinyl in the same way, it would smear. So you do want to use the Cricut pens with this material if you wanted to write and make a label and have it be self-adhesive. So these would be sticky. And then I also have here a couple of my favorite ways to make labels. This is my absolute favorite is chalkboard vinyl. So this is an adhesive chalkboard product. Absolutely my favorite way to make labels. There's also a dry erase material you can buy on a roll. You can cut that with your Cricut machine. So it's a dry erase vinyl. And like it makes a dry erase surface. Another of my favorite ways to make labels. And then you can also use vinyl. So I could just use like adhesive vinyl in any color and I could cut the words out to make a label. And then they also make a variety of printable vinyl products. Now, does this have to be Cricut printable vinyl? It does not. I am a fan of their printable vinyl, not their printable sticker paper, but their printable vinyl. I am a big fan of it. So I use it quite a bit. And it comes in a variety of like different finishes. And like this is a gold one. And then there is like a clear sticker paper if you wanted a clear label. So a lot of different ways to make labels. So the first question I'm getting for this one is, what does dissolvable mean? So I haven't used this product because I don't completely understand why you would use it. So dissolvable means that like I could make a label for like a container that I was going to put in my freezer, let's say, like for soup. And I can make the label on my Cricut machine. And then when I was done with, I used the soup, this label would dissolve off of the container in water. But for me, frankly, if I'm going to make a label to put in my freezer, it's probably not going to be, I'm not going to pull out my Cricut machine to make it. Maybe if you were making like a meal for someone and you wanted to label it, and make sure it doesn't stick to their container or the container you use it on permanently, the dissolvable material might be a solution for that. But like I've literally not opened these packages because I was like, I'm not going to pull my Cricut machine out to make a label for my freezer. I'm just going to handwrite it. Like not going to use it, but you could handwrite on this material as well. So basically it dissolves in water, so you don't have to worry about it permanently being on the surface. So, my question would be, which of these materials most interests you? And we can kind of walk through the steps on using it. We could maybe start with the Smart Label material. And I'm just going to open one of these. So the Smart Label material, like I said, it comes in a variety of sizes. This is a Joy size. It does not matter. I have my Explorer out. It is not going to make any difference. We're going to put it on a mat. But this Smart Label material, yeah, this is like a holographic. This is fun. So this one is the holographic version. So it'll say on the back, it's writable and permanent. So you can write on it. And like I said, it does need to be like the Cricut pens. And you can test this if you if you're like, oh, is that really going to work? because when they first came out with this material, I was like, is that really going to work? So I would just sort of write in the corner. And it usually doesn't take that long. Yeah, it's already. And so it writes on it, and it doesn't smear or anything. So it's very, very cool. Some kind of magic that they have on this material, because if you were to use their pens on just regular vinyl, it would smear all over the place. Like I have done all of this, different tests with this. So I do like their label material. Is it going to be a more expensive way to make labels? Yes, probably. But if you want to use your pens and just write on a label in your Cricut machine, it's probably one of the best options. You could also use this pen to write on like probably like printable vinyl or like a matte sticker material, something like that. It would probably also work. But if you want to write with the pens, just be aware that not all materials, some of them are going to not dry quickly. And if it doesn't dry quickly, your rollers run over it. It makes a mess in your Cricut machine. So many problems. So yes, it's just the Smart Label material that has the no smudge effect over the top. So you do want to look for the Smart Label from Cricut. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, so this one is labeled Joy. But let's just say like you found this on sale, so it's labeled Cricut Joy, and you have an Explorer. We can just add this to a mat, just like you would any other material. Press it down, and you can now use this Joy material on a mat in your Explorer. So it does not matter what necessarily the package says. You can get by with it. You can put it on a mat in another machine. Or like if the Explorer size was on sale, cut it down for your Joy and put it on the Joy mat, like either way. So I highly encourage people to find like this type of product on sale. All right. Oh, someone has some Smart Label and has never used it. So let's use some. How about that? And then I'll show you my chalkboard. This is my favorite, probably. We might do some printable labels because those are my second favorite. I have used the Smart Label a few times, like specific circumstances where I was like, I really want like a written look. And I was like, this material is perfect. I have not had this holographic version very long, and it's very, very cool. So this might convince me that I need some holographic labels. We'll see. All right. Okay, let's head to Cricut Design Space and let's make some labels. Okay, so in Cricut Design Space, first I wanted to show you sort of this process they have. If you click New Project, you can scroll down here, and they actually have a labels option. You can use their option, or you can make them yourself. If you click their options, they actually are using the printable material. You can see that over here on the side. And I want to use the Smart Label instead. So I'm not going to use their option. I'm going to go back up, let's see, and I'm going to go over here and go to Blank Canvas. So the next thing I wanted to show you is that there are so many labels in Cricut Design Space for free. And I'm seeing a few different questions, so I'm going to answer those really quickly. So first of all, the Smart Label material, I think most of the adhesive ones are permanent. The dissolvable, you would actually, you can dissolve it so you'll be able to remove it. You could also use a sticker paper that's removable. So it's going to depend on the material you use, whether it's removable or not. I tend to use a permanent material for my labels because it's usually a place where, you're going to be touching it a lot and you don't want it to like come off. All right. And yes, you could use an offset. Probably won't with this one, but maybe we can work on offsets later. All right. So for this, so you could use a shape. So I'm going to stick with free stuff within this video, I think. So we could just use a shape. So we could use a free shape like this. If you want to get a little more fancier, if you go to images and we search label, I can actually sort these for free images. So many different labels. So it keeps going. So we can definitely get fancy with this cutout. So we could just do this little guy here. So we'll just do both of these and we'll make them both. Let's see, maybe we'll make them both silver since our material is kind of holographic. All right, so we have two different shapes of labels. And then what I'm going to recommend to you, so I'm going to, let's say we're making these for the kitchen. What I would recommend is for your font to head to here and filter by writing fonts. And then I'm going to filter for free. So I'm going to do free writing fonts. And then we can find a font where it's not all the outline. So typically when you change a font to writing, you might see something like this with the outline. I don't want that look. I want it to literally write the word. So I'm going to go with something like this right here. All right. And you can also change your pen. You can do different pen colors. I'm going to probably do let's do a fine point for this one. And let's make two that say flower. Say we want to compare them. And let's see what else, other pens I have literally right beside me. Let's see. I do have, let's see, I have a medium point. Let's do that. So let's do a little bit thicker, one thin, one thick. All right, and you could, of course, resize these labels to fit your containers. You can type whatever you want on here. You can pick your favorite font. And then I'm going to use two different pens so you can kind of compare like what a thicker pen might look like with doing these. And then let's connect the Explorer here. Hopefully it connects. I didn't connect this before I went live, which is something I usually do. So let's see. Okay, it's going to connect. Yay. So let's click make. Don't need to save this. We're going to do on a match, remember, because I'm using this joy material, but it doesn't have to be a joy. And the first problem is like my labels and my writing are two different places. And that is because on each of these, you need to attach them together. So we're going to go back and attach those. And now when we click make on a mat, everything looks how it should be. However, that joy material is running down one side. So I'm going to take this label and I'm going to move it over here just to ensure that it cuts off the material. And then there is a little white edge on this material. So I'm going to just move these over just a little bit so I'm sure that they're on the material. And then we'll click continue. And we're going to browse on materials and let's search for label. I'm going to do that. All right, so it is telling me that it's going to draw with the larger, thicker pen first, and then I would add the thinner pen. So I'm going to follow those instructions as I cut, and I'm going to pull you back up here. And as this cuts, I'll search for more questions. All right, so let's open this up. And I'm going to feed this in. And this is actually, I think I picked the wrong pen. I'm going to try the medium point and the fine point. I think I do have a thicker point, but we're going to do the medium. All right, so medium point. And I did this before I went live, but I'm just going to make sure these are working. They are. And I'm going to drop this in the Cricut till it clicks. Close this. And all right, should be ready to go. So let's let it write first of all. I forget to attach all the time. So someone said, so glad you forget to attach. I literally forget it almost every single time. And I'm like, oh, that would be smart for me to do, to attach those together. Okay, so then I'm going to do the thinner one. I don't even know what to do with the cap. Again, I'm going to make sure it's writing. If it will pop in there for some reason. There we go. All right. And put that right. All right. Yeah, like I feel like these are really good ideas if you want to change things up in your kitchen. And like I said, I haven't even used, now it's done writing with the thinner one, so it's going to cut around those two labels. I haven't even used this holographic, just opened the package literally on this, and I was like, that would be a fun little addition for today. All right, so I'm going to put the cap on this immediately. Okay, so put this over. I'm going to take this off. So you can now see that this, okay, let me pull the pins out. This top one was a medium tip. It was a 1.0. So it's the medium tip 1.0. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. So that's the top one. And then this bottom one is the fine tip 0.4. So you can see that it makes a pretty big difference. I tend to go with the thicker tip when I'm making these labels. But if you want a cleaner look, of course, you could go with like the thinner pen. But now, and I'm like going to scroll through here. And yes, so these are permanent. I'm going to cut this off, I think. These are permanent labels, but I can definitely get them off later. So it's a permanent vinyl, so the adhesive is going to be stronger. However, I'm going to hope this did cut. Yay. Okay. I'd never used this material before. I was like, I hope that setting works. Look. Okay. But I've definitely been able to remove these later. So I usually use a permanent vinyl for my labels. And then someone said like a heat gun or something like that to remove it later is like easy to do. Like I feel like they come right off. So I usually use a permanent vinyl or permanent label generally when I'm labeling things. All right, so there are my labels. If it was a surface that you're worried about or might be damaged easily, then I would probably look into a removable sticker paper, removable vinyl that's printable, something like that. All right, so now hopefully you can see that these don't smear or anything. So this is, I feel like this material, any of the Smart Label materials, is probably one of the easiest ways. So you saw how quick that was. You saw how easy it is to make labels with your Cricut machine with that material. Again, is it more expensive than a lot of other materials? Yeah, but it's easy, right? All right. Okay. I am so glad that you all also have trouble connecting your Cricut machines. I feel like though that if I'm live, then there's no way my Cricut machine is going to connect if I haven't connected it. All right, so I'm going to give you my favorite way to make labels for something that's not might change. And that is Chalkboard vinyl. So this is an adhesive product. It's just a vinyl product, but this material is chalkboard. So you can write on it with chalk. You can write on with chalkboard markers, and you cut it like any other vinyl. So I use this a ton in my craft room because I tend to change so much. So I use, so I'll be sure to use the chalkboard. And this material has been rolled so long, I think I'm going to switch to a green mat here. Or in like a pantry, I feel like chalkboard is really popular. Like you're going to be, maybe changing out the different things in your pantry. But if you don't want to, buy, because they sell chalkboard labels, right, that are shapes. You don't want to, buy those that are pre-cut, or maybe you want a really specific size, really specific shape, you can make those chalkboard labels with your Cricut machine. All right, so I'm going to cut this like any other vinyl. I think I'm just going to use that same file. I'm just going to take the writing off. I'm just trying to make sure there are no bubbles in this. I think I'm just going to take the writing off and do those same shapes really quickly. So we'll go back to this and done and detach, and we'll just delete off that and just click make again on a mat, confirm, continue. And I'm going to hope that they have this as a material. Let's see. I haven't used this in a while. I swear every material I haven't used for a while, they remove. They actually have it. Yay. So I think that will work. So we'll go ahead and load it up and cut this one as well. And like I said, this is probably the one I'll use this most often, honestly. Just because I tend to be that girl that changes things a lot. So I tend to use the chalkboard most often. And I have a secret for you with chalkboard. So, all right. And this one, I removed the writing, so we are just cutting. So we're just going to cut those. All right. Oh, someone's having trouble adding pens, I guess. Okay. All right, so remove this. Sounds like somebody's in the I see y'all talking about adding pens. So my trick and tip for adding pens to the Cricut. So open the clamp, open the pen, and that arrow that's on the pen, there's like a little arrow. I put it to the front. I mean, normally I'm in front so I can see it, and hold from the bottom. And then if you press this until it clicks, you can't see that arrow anymore. And that way I know that it's all the way down. I feel like that's the most common mistake is you don't get it all the way down. And then it just phantom writes and it comes out and there's actually no writing on your material. It's super fun. Has that ever happened to me before? Absolutely. But that's the trick for adding Cricut pens. All right. So this material, like I said, it's chalkboard. And the first thing you're thinking is like, if you've not used a chalk marker before, is that chalkboard, it's just going to rub off. But the secret is a chalk marker. So instead of using just, regular chalk, what a chalk marker does, hopefully this one is primed up because I just grabbed it. Looks like it is. And this is this is actually a thin line one. I just grabbed one downstairs. They come in various widths. So you have fine lines, there are medium lines, there are thick lines. There's all kinds of different widths as well. I hope this is working. It's white on white. I'm going to write, let's just write flower again. And I'm having a lot of trouble writing. Okay. So once you write with a chalk marker, so this is what they use. The brand I use is actually, it says Bistro chalk marker because it's actually what they use for, like, if you've ever went to a cafe and they have super cool chalkboard art menu. That's the product they use, and they're very inexpensive. They last forever. And once this dries, you do have to let it dry, but once it dries, it won't smear. But if you get it wet, you just wipe it back off again. So this is great for labels because, of course, you're going to be touching them and you don't want a chalk, just regular chalk would smear, but a chalk marker will not. And let's see if it's dry already. It is literally almost dry. So you can see, like, it's not rubbing off. But if I was to, and I'm going to use a wet wipe because that's all I have. But if I was to use a wet wipe on it, it comes completely clean and I can just rewrite on this once it's dry with a different whatever. So this is my favorite way. And I said, like, I haven't used this roll in a while because I can reuse these many, many, many times. So I just wipe off whatever's on there. I rewrite it and the label doesn't have to come off of the container. I could just redo it right on the container, just wipe off whatever's on there and rewrite whatever I want on there. So this is what I use in my kitchen. Like I said, in the craft room, I use these all over the place. So chalkboard vinyl is probably like my top #1 labeling trick, hack, whatever, with my Cricut machine. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions really quickly, and then we'll do like a print and cut label, because why not? Oh, yeah. So someone made labels out of like regular vinyl, and then they needed some more, and that vinyl color wasn't made anymore. That's a typical issue. I've done the same thing. So I used like a very specific purple for a long time, and then that purple wasn't made anymore when I needed to switch things out. So yeah, and then it's like you have to switch the entire thing. The other thing I don't like about labels, I got literally chalk everywhere. The other thing I don't like about labels, like just cutting the word out of vinyl, is that you have to use transfer tape to put it on there. It's so much more labor intensive, right? With the weeding, the transferring, and then if you have to remove it, you have to remove each of those little letters, then something like this. So if I'm going to use vinyl, I'm going to use like a label like this, or we'll do print and cut labels in a minute, something like that. It's just less labor intensive in the beginning, as well as when you want to remove it, it's less labor intensive. So I tend to, and then of course you don't have the issue with the color going obsolete as well. All right, so good chalk marker. Like I said, I use this Bistro chalk marker, and they are made by Marvi Uchenda. I don't know if you can see that. That's the brand. But just search Bistro chalk marker. It looks like this. Like I said, I have literally every size of it. The fine line, the medium line, the thick line, all of them. What is the difference of the labels and sticker cardstock? Sticker cardstock. Hold on. Let's see. Pretty sure I have some. Do I have some? If I do, where would it be? I do have some. Okay. Let's pull out. I'll pull out both versions. Definitely another way. I mean, it's another way you can make labels. I never think about this product because it's paper, and paper tends to get dirty. So this is the sticker paper from Cricut. One size for the Joy, one size for larger machines. Again, it does not matter. But what this material is a paper that already has an adhesive on the back. So it's just paper. Already has an adhesive on the back. You can literally do this same thing that we did at the beginning with this paper. But remember, this is paper. Paper gets dirty when you touch it. If you touch it with something, your hands are dirty or whatever, the paper's going to get dirty. You're not going to be able to clean a paper label. Whereas this is still vinyl. Like I wrote on it, but it is still vinyl. So it would be much easier, much better for like cleanliness than a paper label. So I literally never think about this product for labels because it's paper with an adhesive on the back. But does it work? Absolutely. So you could definitely use it as well for a label. Like I said, I just never think about it. There are probably 100 different ways that I could make a label with my Cricut machine. But just not all of them. I don't feel like they're feasible for a majority of the applications. Like there are applications where you could use smart paper. Absolutely. Just most of the applications, like typical home applications, I probably would not use the smart paper sticker cardstock. All right. Okay, so someone's having a problem with their scoring stylus popping out of this clamp. I would say this insert in here is replaceable. I would try to replace it. So it's probably worn and allowing it to pop back up. That would be like my guess, just reading that question. And I'm so glad, Jen, you said the same thing about the sticker paper. Okay, yes, we can do a print and cut style with labels, and that's what I'm going to do next. All right, so let's do the print and cut next. And I actually did the design off camera, so I could print it, so I didn't have to you don't have to wait on it to print. But let's go ahead and make like a similar design in Cricut Design Space, and then I'll pop up the other window to cut. So, let's talk about materials first. So when we're doing print and cut labels, my favorite material is printable vinyl. So not printable sticker paper, printable vinyl. And I actually really like the Cricut brand of printable vinyl. Now, they also make printable vinyl that is colors, like this is a gold printable vinyl. They also make like different sticker papers. Like if you wanted a clear label, this is a clear sticker paper. They make a ton of different printable products. There are other brands of printable products, but you want something that does say that it's printable right on it for the printing portion of a print and cut label. Oh, yep, I can. Someone's saying, can I show you how to remove the pin adapter? So if you open up this clamp and you just push from literally from the bottom, you can feel like there's a adapter, like this whole piece is an adapter. And if you just push up, and hopefully I can show her. So I just pushed up, and then this piece is replaceable. So you can order a whole new one of these. So it may be that yours is worn out here. So it's not getting a good enough grip, and it's pushing that stylus up. So that's my guess, just reading that. And then when you get the new one, you just pop it in, again, hold the bottom and just press in the adapter, and then you're ready to go again. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do printable vinyl in white is what I'm going to do. That's my favorite. I literally have an entire stack back there. So when I say it's my favorite, I'm very serious. All right, so let's go to Design Space again. All right, so let's I mean, I have a different shape, but this is fine. So what we want to do, like this was just some material color, like I was mocking it up for that holographic material. But if you're going to print and cut labels, you want to pick a color that you want it to print. So I might pick a light pink. I can pick a light purple. I could pick a dark color and use white writing. So I'm going to pick a light pink just as an example. And then when you add text, so we could do flower, or we could do iron on vinyl, whatever. For now, I can use any text now. So I don't have to have it as writing. Still want to use a free text. And now I can use something bolder if I wanted to. So I could use something like this. And I can change the color of the text as well. So I could do something like this, resize things. I could resize this. And then maybe center these up. And then to make it a print and cut label, you would just pick everything and click flatten this time. So flatten makes it all in one as a printable label. And now when I click make, I'm going to be able to do a print then cut. So I actually did, let's see. Let me get rid of this one, and I'm going to add a different one. I don't know if we're going to be able to see. Well, okay, stop sharing. Screen share. Window. I think we can. Okay, so I actually did a different one offline so I could print it, and I just did this random shape, and it says iron on vinyl instead, but same type of thing. You can see that you can choose any shape, any colors, and I actually did 3 copies of this so you could see that you could do that. The only thing I'll say is I like to use the printer dialog box when printing, and I did add a bleed. So what the bleed is going to do is allow a little variation in the cut, and we're going to see like a slight pink line around here once I cut this. So I'm going to head to that window now. Let's see, let's close this window maybe. Quit. Done. Now you all can cross your fingers that my Cricut will connect to this window to cut specifically this material. All right, I'm going to go back, I think, to the blue mat here. Okay. I don't know if chalkboard vinyl comes in other colors. I always use black. That's maybe a question. Jen might know. Jen, do you know? I think Cricut only makes black, but that doesn't mean that other places would make a different color. So I'm not sure. The answer is maybe. Okay, my machine did connect. Oh, let me show this back again. Okay, common mistake I feel like with printable materials is just picking the wrong type of material setting. There are so many different printable material settings. So this one has a gray liner. So it is the printable vinyl white with a gray liner. So that's what I'm going to use for my setting. Again, you can you can play around with these if you use a different brand. If you're using Cricut brand, be sure you're picking the right printable material because they're just like, I just feel like there are so many different materials. So just be sure you're picking the right material when you're cutting. All right, so now I'm going to load this up. And try not to knock everything out. All right, so what this is going to do is going to read those little black marks that are in the corner first to locate the cut. So it's going to run through several different things where it's going to read those lines, and then it'll cut around each of those 3 labels. Okay, I'm scrolling back. If you have any other questions or you want to see me make a different type of label, let me know in the comments. So someone asked if does it matter if it's die cut or kiss cut with print and cut. Depends on what you want. I personally like a kiss cut. Hopefully this will be a kiss cut. That's my personal preference for these. But no, it doesn't necessarily matter. If you prefer one over the other, then you can do that. It would just be a different material setting. So if I wanted a through cut or a die cut label, I would probably pick a thicker material setting so it would cut all the way through this material rather than just on the outside. All right, so those. I'll set that over there. All right, so now I'm going to remove this label so you can see. So there's my label. And because I used the bleed option, you can see just a thin pink line all the way around my cut. But that means that my label looks absolutely perfect. And this might be another way around. We were talking about using vinyl for labels and how, the vinyl color might go away by the time you need to make labels again. But if you use like a print and cut, you save that file in Cricut Design Space, you can pull it up at any time and make labels the same color and the same type as you did before. So that's another benefit of doing it like this way. All right, so have you used magnet or waterproof sticker? I have used both in the past, not necessarily recently. And what someone said they have problems with them. So what are exactly the problems with the magnet or the waterproof sticker? And maybe we can help. Oh, and Jen asked what the problem was. Yeah. And yes, with some of those, someone asked, what printer do you use with the magnetic sheets? Some of the thicker materials, so the thicker sticker papers, the magnet materials, those types of things, a lot of printers don't like them because they are so thick. So a printer that has a rear feed, so instead of putting all the material like in the little paper drawer and having the drawer like feed the paper up, a lot of them have like a rear tray or a bypass tray. And if you use that, it will feed through better than basically having to curl it around from the other tray. Okay. So Jen did look up chalkboard vinyl and she found nothing other than black. Even when I searched for green, there is clear and whiteboard. Yeah. So dry erase would be white, and then you can use a wet erase marker. So instead of a dry erase marker, you use a wet erase, and same type of thing. So if you use a dry erase material with a wet erase marker, once it dries, it won't rub off, but you can wipe it off with water later. So white with black with dry erase, or I'm assuming wet erase markers come in other colors other than black. I don't have them. And the other thing you asked about, does the chalkboard material come in other colors than black? And Jen said no, but the chalk markers come in all kinds of colors. So the material might be black, but the color you put on it could be a wide range of colors. So that might help a little bit if you're looking for something specific. Okay, so I have not tried. So someone asked again about this dissolvable paper. We can try it. I have not used it because who asked? Sonia. Okay. So Sonia, I can't think of a reason why I would want my labels to dissolve other than like I'm giving the gift of a casserole to someone and I want to mark what the casserole is and I don't want the dish messed up. I just don't understand why I would use this material. All right, let's open it and just see. Like I literally, I ran into this. If you watched, I did a live with Corey last Thursday, and we just cleaned our craft rooms. And if you watch that, we cleaned our craft rooms for 2 hours. If you want just a video to watch while you clean up, that's a fun one to do it. And I actually found this material, and I was like, oh, I'm going to put this over here, and I can have it in my video, even though I've literally never used it. So it literally says paper dissolvable on it. And yeah, it's like a really weird textured paper. Yeah, so I'm glad, Jen, you said, like, what would you use the dissolvable label for? When I first got it, because literally the application they show, the only application they show is, like I said, like a takeout container or like a lunch container. And I'm not running to my Cricut machine every time I would need to make labels for something in the freezer or like leftovers. I'm not going to do it. So like what other applications would you need to dissolve the labels with water? Very weird. Canning, that could be okay. All right, so that intrigues me. I can get behind that. I've removed many a difficult label from a mason jar. I'm going to get this green mat again because this material is very rolly. I'm going to put it on a mat. I guess I could open that other one. Do not on a mat. Do you want to see not on a mat? Just do not on a mat. Let's open this other one. Okay, so let's open this one. And I'm guessing I write on this with their pens. Compatible Cricut pens and markers. Do not use transfer tape. All right, well, let's see. Yeah, so I think it doesn't matter what size you have, but I did the holographic material, I put it on a mat. So let's do off a mat for this one just to vary it up. So if you buy the one that says your machine, so this one says Explore on it, and I have an Explore here, I don't have to use a mat. So let's just do it that way. Yeah, so someone sold me with canning. Like, if you all know me, I love mason jars. I have not canned as much in the past couple of years, but I used to do a ton of canning. So I have removed many a label from a canning jar. So that excites me. I can get behind this. I can get behind some strawberry jam labels. I can get behind it. All right, so let's pull this back up. All right, so I didn't save those other labels with the writing, so we're just gonna start all over again. So let's do, like, we're gonna do some canning labels, so they need to be cute. So let's go to label and filter for free. Let's do something like that. I like that. Let's do that. And we'll just make it like gray so I can see it. And then what do we think? Like Angie's strawberry jam. And then we're gonna write on this. So we want a pen. And we're gonna filter our fonts by writing and free. And I mean, it can be a little bit quirky, right? That's kind of cute. Not. Okay, that's kind of cute. I tend to like all caps, but this is cute. All right, does anyone know where the the line, there it is, line spacing. Let's put that up. All right, so I feel like that's a little quirky. It works, but like if I'm gonna do this for real, y'all, I feel like I need a color of pen. So let's find, like, I feel like we need a different color. Let's find a pen color. Okay. It needs to be strawberry, right? So let's try a couple different reds here. Oh, wait. I have a thick red. I think the thick red, as long as it's still working. It's a watercolor marker, though. I don't know if that's going to work. Let's do probably going to have to do the fine point. That's all I have in red. Can I use what about these? That's not going to work with that font. Okay, well, we just might have to do this. There's a 1.0. What is this one? Oh, a gel pen? These gel pens, I swear, every time I go to use them, I feel like they are not working. I'm going to pull out a piece of paper and just sit here and scribble. Every time I use, I hope everyone else has this problem. So we're not going to use a gel. All right, I'm just going to use the red 0.4 tip. All right, so we are going to, let's switch back. All right, so, I mean, that's pretty cute. Okay, so let's click make. And we're going to do without a map this time. And let's go all the way across. Let's do 3. Can I fit 4? Nope. All right, let's just do 3 all the way across. Continue. And this is going to be the dissolvable. Whoa. Help if I spelled it right. All right, Smart Label Matless Writable Paper. That looks right. Okay. It would also help you all if I attached the writing to these, just to let you know. Okay, going to attach. Go through this again. Who said that I always forget attach? I did. All right, continue. All right, and dissolvable. So 2 S's. There. Okay. All right. So let's switch back, and we're going to drop this pen in here. And then I feel like I should have had a cup of water or something to dissolve it off, but I don't. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. I feel like I need the roll holder or something. That's not bad. Okay. I feel like it's bubbling up, and I'm afraid it's going to hit my pen. Okay. So now I'm going to just like go. All right. And it's going to write and then cut, and we'll see what the dissolvable sticker paper looks like. I am so glad. Not that I'm glad that the gel pens are horrible, but they're not great. Not great. All right. Oh, I feel like, so apparently everyone is looking for chalkboard vinyl now. That might be a mission I have, is for like chalkboard vinyl in colors, and see if I can find it. I mean, this might convince me to do some canning this year. Seriously. Super cute. I did not bring a jar up here either. I need a jar to put it on so we could like see it on a jar, right? I don't even know if I have any jars in here right now. Don't think I do. So I can definitely see this for canning. Like I said, what I thought of was like if you're going to give a casserole like to someone, like a meal, like a meal train type of thing. If you want to put your name on a casserole dish, but you don't want it to be permanent, like dissolvable. Those were like I said, I couldn't think of a lot of applications for this material, so I just haven't even opened it till 5 seconds ago. Yeah, so I feel like the gel tends to skip in the machine, especially if it's skipping. Like when it was the pink one and it was already skipping. So I was like, there's no way it's going to work. Did that cut? I'm like skeptical, which I can't run it again. So we're just going to remove it. Oh gosh, you can just barely see the cuts. Okay. First time I'm using this, we're going to see. All right. And I can't tell. It's like use glitter vinyl and you can't see the cut lines. It's kind of like that. I'm trying to cut it off and not cut the label. We're going to hope this works. Okay. So, I mean, it's super cute. Let's just see if it like made a cut. It didn't cut through, you all. Is it hard to cut? Is the material hard to cut? Someone that's used this? Okay, it just didn't cut great. I can make it work. I'm going to make it work. I don't know if I'm going to make it work for ×3, but I'm going to make it work for 1. I said I'm going to make it work. Let's see. Like, it cut better over here. Very weird. Like, it cut better in some areas than others. Okay, I'm just going to, the last 2 worked, and I'm just going to kind of rip. I'm going to rip that first one. I can make it work later. All right, so this is the label. The other thing about this, like it's see-through a little bit. Let me see. So like if the mason jar was full of strawberry jam, So it looks really white, but like the base material is going to show through a little bit, which I guess like on the top of a mason jar, but the mason jar tops would be like probably gold or silver or something. It's just not going to be like a pure white. If you all are looking for a pure white, it's kind of, like I said, it's paper, but very, very thin. So you can see like how you can see through it. Very odd. Yeah. Yeah, I probably should have did more pressure, but it's like literally the first time that I've used this, but that's okay. I mean, I do think they would be cute, but just be prepared that they're going to be able to see through it. It's not going to look like a, like a fresh white. It's definitely going to look like you can see through it just a little bit. So, so I did not smudge, even though I didn't use the matte. And I have used just the regular Smart Label material without a matte. I didn't have issues with smudging either. It tends to dry pretty quickly on the material that they mark for Smart Label, regardless of the pen I use, and regardless of matteless on a matte. I tend to have pretty good luck. The only thing, so I was going to try this gel. If I did the gel with the Smart Label, I don't feel like the gel dries as fast. So I did have issues with that when I used it with just the regular Smart Label. So I was wondering about the gel on the this material because it's like a paper and would absorb better. But my gel pens aren't working, so not gonna happen today. But that's the only thing, is like just the regular pens, I feel like they dry really, really quickly, but the gel pens not as quick. All right. Oh, okay. So when I said I could not recut it, it is because the writing would also write again. And so it would be like a double layer of writing, which tends to look a little bit weird to me when it double layers over the writing. So it would not just cut again. If I was to press the go button again on the machine, it would go through the whole process again, not just the cutting. And that's why I said I would not do a second pass with the go button on the machine on this particular material with the writing. So that's why I said that. Sorry, I didn't, I was thinking out loud, but that's why I would not do that. And I didn't explain myself. Okay, so Sonia said she's used it and didn't have cutting issues, but she used it on a mat, not off a mat. So that could be a difference. But yeah, I would probably, with this first cut, I would probably do, I think the more pressure would do it. Like I said, I got the first two off, but this one, I'm not even sure if it's cut in this corner over here. So it was just like, it was a little kind of skipped around a little bit, which not crazy about. Okay. Yeah, so I'm actually not a huge fan of cutting without the mat either, but I thought I would try it. That way we're trying different things during this live. We're trying a bunch of different ways to make labels, including not using a mat. I'm not a fan generally of the Smart materials because of the backer being that thicker backer. But with the labels, it's not as bad, I don't think. But the vinyl with the thick backer, I'm just not a fan. All right. Yeah, I don't know if you could print on this material. Do they have a dissolvable label like in their printable line? I wonder. I don't have it if they do. I mean, that could be something to play around with, right? All right, so someone's saying they can't get their Cricut machine to write. It misses other times, and sometimes it won't write at all. So tips for using pens with your Cricut machine. First tip, just get like a scrap piece of paper before you start and take your pen and just make sure it's writing. Like, is it writing? If it's not, keep scribbling. Make sure like the ink is flowing before you start. And then I went through this, but if you missed it, when you're putting your pen in the Cricut, what I do, so generally there's an arrow, but this one has like a little symbol right there. But there's usually something on the pen. And if you put that like facing you, and then when you hold down and when you lock this into place, that should disappear. So it should go down into this adapter. It should make a clicking sound as well. And that means that the pen is fully down in there. Most common mistake is that the pen is not fully seated, or it's missing when it's actually writing. So those are the two most common mistakes. Only other thing I would say is if your material isn't something that's smooth, then you would probably get skips. Some cardstocks have quite a bit of texture, and I feel like those don't always work as well with the pens. But like a smooth cardstock, a smooth like label material, things like that tend to work pretty well, I feel like. Oh, I could have removed the pen when I did a second cut. Thank you, Robin. So I could have done a second cut, but it was only the one label, so we were fine. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to agree. Mary said this kind of looks like paper with a grease stain, and it kind of does. Like, I'm not sure if I'm a fan. Because if you imagine my like jar of strawberry jam, and I would want a white label with colorful little writing, maybe a little drawing of a strawberry, and it's not giving that to me. Like, I would rather use the printable vinyl to make cute labels and just hope I can remove them later. Yes, this will remove. Like I said, it's still a great idea for like labeling your casserole containers when you're like giving a casserole, labeling it with what it is, labeling it with your name so you can get it back later. That's a great idea. But I don't know if it's giving me cute vibes. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. Okay. So yeah, Jen, you can just add printing on this material to your to-do list because I'm not wild about the material itself. It just doesn't look that great. Try it first, writing on it, and put it on something colorful, and then be like, okay, now I'll try it because I'm not sure. Okay, so let's just see. Like, do you have to soak it? Is that what the dissolvable is? Does it say? It doesn't say. Dissolves easily in water. I don't have water. No, I don't have water. I might have a spray bottle of water. Let's see. We'll do one at, let's see. We'll do one on here maybe. I don't want to take that one off because that's a really good example of like when a label doesn't work. All right, let's put it on the bottom of this container. I mean, on a white container, yeah, it looks fine. All right, so let's see. Does it dissolve? Do I have a little bit of water? Let's see how easy it is. And this one has kind of a lip on it, so I won't get this everywhere as well. It's very good. All right, so I'm going to move some of this over. All right, let's see. Look what happens. I'm going to kind of... So the first thing that's happening is... I'm just going to pour it on there. So first things first is that the pen is running, which if you're going to dissolve the label off anyway, I don't guess it matters that the pen is running, but so it's running, and oh, it's melting. It's very, it's like slick at this point, like it's kind of melting away. And then I can just, if I rub over it, the pen is just like leaving. I'm trying not just to peel it up. I'm just kind of seeing what happens if you dissolve it. But yeah, it's just dissolving like a thin piece of paper would. If I had just a piece of like copy paper, it's literally dissolving off. So I'm going to just do a hole in the middle. I'm going to dump this out. Okay. So what was happening? Yeah, we can see that. All right, so first of all, you can tell that, I'm trying to not to get water on my keyboard. You can tell that the pen came directly off like it, and I just kept like rubbing at it just for those few seconds and like kind of made a hole right here, and it just completely dissolved off. And now I can just, like, it is literally just goo. It's like pulp. So the dissolvable portion does work very well. It literally comes directly off. I'm not sure if I like the look for something decorative. So yes, it has its applications, but if you want to use this for something that is decorative or to label something, not sure. And then if this gets wet at all, that's the other thing about using it on mason jars or whatever. So if this gets wet at all, like say like just, I'm going to spray this a little bit. I think I have a little bit left. Okay, so it like something splatters from your sink. So if this gets wet at all, this is what it's going to look like. So you can see like immediately that pen starts running with this dissolvable material. So, and the adhesive was dissolvable as well. So this, it's completely like nothing is on the bottom of this anymore. Like it's completely off. So yeah, it's like thin paper. You know, vellum is almost slick. This isn't even slick. It's very matte, very feels like a homemade paper almost. That's very thin. If you ever felt like a homemade paper house, a little bit rough, like some like almost like a homemade paper, but very, very thin. So yeah. Jen said, I love that you have everything in your room. I literally, I was like, I know there's some water around here somewhere. Oh, here's a spray bottle. All right. Oh, what is going away? Maybe I just, so I'm assuming we're talking about like the dissolvable labels is on clearance on the Cricut site. So it's almost like they just try different materials, y'all. And then they're like, will this work? Will this not? Do people like it? Do it not? Do they not? And they buy some and then they're like, okay, people didn't like that. We're just not going to make it anymore. And it's like, and sometimes it's like, I mean, not this particular thing. I'm not sad because I don't think I'm a fan of this dissolvable label, but other things I'm like, but I liked it. Can you just carry that? I love their felt, and it's like their felt is gone. So, oh, okay. All right. So, any more questions about making labels that I can answer for you before I wrap this up? Do I have a pink finger? I do not. So, I don't know. The pen just, maybe it was on that pulpy stuff. It just, here, let's see if this, I just rub across where I got this wet, I would have a pink finger. So you can see that it's just pink. So I probably wiped it off when I was like wiping with this. So yeah, if something splashed on it in your kitchen with the dissolvable material, then it like starts to run. If you touch it, you're gonna get some of the ink on you. Yeah, it's not my favorite. Yeah, so the dissolvable part is nice, like I said, for some applications, but the execution might not be there for me. So yeah, so if like your jam jar, like someone said, your jam jar sweats after moving it from the fridge, it would start dissolving. So like that's a problem for me. So I can understand like after I've canned it and it's completely dry and I put this label on it. And I don't like the look of it, but I put this label on it. Then it wouldn't have to like nothing splash on it. Or like you said, like I'm using the jam, I open it, put it in the refrigerator, and then I leave it out for a few minutes and it's like sweating on my counter because it's 2 different temperatures. It's going to kind of start to dissolve and deteriorate. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to do a video about jam labels now, because at first I was like, this is a video idea, but now I'm not so sure. Yes, and I mean, you all feel free, order you some dissolvable paper labels and you see what you think. That's my opinion, and hopefully I've showed you enough to know, so you know if you want to try it or not. This is probably the only video where I'm going to use dissolvable paper labels. So if you're watching this, you have seen the only existence of Angie using this material. Like, I think this is going directly into like a donation bin. All right. Okay. So, any more questions? Drop them into the live chat. If you are watching on replay and you have questions about dissolvable labels or any other labels we made, feel free to drop down in the comment section, ask away. So bottom line, my favorite label type is chalkboard vinyl. Love it with a chalk marker. That's my absolute favorite. That's what I use most often. Second thing, I probably use the Smart Label and the printable vinyl. That's probably number 2. They probably tie for number 2, depending on the application. I do like a printable vinyl label overall. But like I said, this is like more labor intensive, right? Of like creating in a design space, printing it on my printer, cutting it out. It takes longer to cut because it has to see those registration marks. Whereas this label material from Cricut, this is the holographic version. There's white versions. There's all kinds of different versions. Literally, you just put the pin in there. You design it. Within seconds, you have a label. So I have used this a lot just because, like, I want something quick. I want this written look, but I want it to be quick. I use the Smart Label material. Like, so chalkboard, number 1, most of the things. If I want like a cleaner look, I will do either the printable or the Smart Label material. So those are my tie for number 2. So we made all of my favorites, but like I said, there are probably 100 ways that you could make a label with a Cricut machine. There are so many different variations that you could make. I understand that. Just kind of going through my favorites, and hopefully this gives you some ideas. I went through some of the other materials, and I probably have videos on a lot of those materials on my YouTube channel. So feel free, ask away. I will drop video links, and you can find a different video on some of the other materials if you think you want to use those. The holographic is really fun. I could see this, like you said, like a gift tag or something, or if you just want to have like fun in a space, like a craft room, like a kid's room. Like, just, I feel like this could be fun for a lot of different spaces. Is it for every space? No, but it could be a lot of fun for a lot of spaces, I feel like. And this was like the first time I opened this material as well, the holographic. I usually use the white writable vinyl. And like I said, if you want this look with the pens and writing on vinyl, you have to get the Smart Label material. I have tested this. Other types of vinyl, like just regular permanent vinyl, if you try to write on it with a pen, it will smear. It will ruin it. So whatever magic they coat the Smart Label material with is what makes this type of label possible. All right. All right, so thank you all. If you joined me live, it was fun. I got to try out a material I've never tried before. It's always good when you're like, I found this material stuck somewhere in my craft room. Why not just try it on a live for the first time? Let's just open it up and try it. But it was fun. I feel like I learned a lot about what I don't like with that material. Hopefully you did as well. So thank you all so much if you joined me live. It was fun, and I hope you learned a little bit about making labels with your Cricut machine. So I will see you all. Actually, there's going to be like a surprise live next week. So stay tuned for information on that. So see y'all.